Our story begins with a lady turning on a camera and introducing herself as Ava Robin. She talks about how 3 years ago, her parents passed away and grieving is not getting easier for her. So she wants to do something with her life, something new. Ava buys a van and travels across the United States. We see her having fun traveling to different places. She has become what is known as a van life influencer, someone who lives their life on the road, with the van providing them with most of their shelter. It's like her viewers are there with her, going along for the exciting ride. When it's time to sleep, Ava sleeps in her van as well. We see her getting live comments on her ongoing van life, and she racks up her subscribers to the hundreds of thousands. Her fans know her as Van Girl. Soon, however, we see that Ava vanishes, causing her fans to create videos where they speculate where she went. One night, her van is parked on the side of the road. A truck pulls up to it, from which a man comes out to shine his flashlight on a bleeding Ava in her van. He holds her face, asking if she can hear him. Her only response is to open her eyes before screaming in fear. Time passes. Ava makes a video telling her followers she has been missing for a few months. However, she is back now, having bought a cabin in the woods. Of course, she shows it to her fans. According to her, the reason she disappeared for some months was that she ran over a deer on the road. The truck we saw earlier pulls up, carrying her van that gave Ava her new life. We find out the man driving the truck has been helping her these last few months. After that, she enters her newly acquired cabin to start recording it. The place is shabby, but she has time to fix it. Not to mention the money she earned from all of her subscribers will help with the renovation too. The next scene shows Ava recording herself outside her cabin. She says it feels like a fresh start. She didn't have a home since her parents passed away. Therefore, the young lady thanks her fans, over 600,000 of them. No longer the van girl, Ava gives herself the new title of Cabin Girl. With this new video uploaded, we observe someone watching it who we don't see. This person has some of her photos pinned on their wall. Our attention is then brought to an axe lying there for some reason, which is very likely not good. When she sleeps at night, we see a hole in the ceiling above her. In the morning, Ava's computer is playing videos of people being happy that she is back. We see her doing all the housework in her new cabin by herself. She also catches a mouse that she frees outside. The lady even has cuts lumber with no one there to help her. For a change of scenery, we get to see her riding a rusty bicycle into town. Then a man who sits in his vehicle watches videos of Ava's fans talking about her. Some are disappointed that she could be ditching her van life. Ava tells her followers that she fell in love with her cabin and it feels like she's living in simpler times. She visits her friend, Kellen, the one who helped her with the van. She is there for a short while, then leaves. While walking, she tells her viewers that she finds Kellen attractive. Regularly looking into a camera, the camera causes her bump into a man by accident. This man happens to be someone she knows. He is Dr. Dowsett, the doctor who tended to her after the accident with the deer. He reminds her to visit his office next week to see how she is doing. Afterward, we see the stranger watch Ava's new video, from which he sees what the name of the place is. He drives a van too, just like Ava did in the past. Maybe he is also a van influencer, or someone who likes watching such videos. As Ava starts recording a new video, she hears her name. This creepy occurrence prompts her to yell, declaring she has pepper spray. Following this, she walks along a bridge and films something strange below. At that moment, she gets a brief flashback of how she slammed into the deer. This causes her to get somewhat dizzy. Once she is down there, she sees a memorial dedicated to a lady named Hannah Granger. Ava asks her fans what they think might have happened to her. To Ava's surprise, a lady behind her instantly answers that question. She reveals that Hannah jumped into the water with a cinder block around her waist. The lady soon introduces herself as Trina, and she guesses that Ava is an influencer. We find out she owns a bar called Mystic Fox, and advises Ava to stop by sometime. Unfortunately, Ava remembers more disturbing memories that make her nearly fall. While they are both in Trina's vehicle, Ava talks about how her subscribers are everything to her and how she cannot let them down. Upon their arrival at Ava's cabin, Trina expresses amazement at her home. We learn that this is where Hannah Granger used to live. At night, Ava streams a question and answer session with her fans. One of them asks her when she will get back on the road. She honestly responds that it's not happening soon. She reveals that her doctor told her it will be around 3 months until she can drive again. Suddenly, some books move on the shelf behind her. Ava sees it on her camera. When she removes them, she discovers a mouse, which is possibly the one that moved the books. Ava places the little creature in a jar to take it elsewhere. Later, she leaves her bed and goes to a shed. She sees its lock not properly secured. All of a sudden, someone calls out her name again. Her alarm clock then wakes her up. She immediately goes to the shed and sees it is locked, unlike in her dream. Meanwhile, we see the stranger approach to Ava's real estate agent to ask her what she sold recently. He wants to see some cabins to get a sense of the marketplace. Afterward, he drives by a cabin to check who lives there. Seeing that it's not occupied by Ava, he leaves right away. As he continues to drive, Ava passes him on her bike. This lucky moment makes him turn his van around to follow her. Although he's lucky to find her, he's also unlucky because the driver behind him honks at him. Therefore, he is forced to drive off. The person in that other car is Kellen, who offers Ava a ride. However, she politely declines the offer. After a short while, she enters a shop to buy something. Coming out of it, she sees the rear tire on her bike is now flat. Hence, she visits Kellen to get it pumped. However, she has to cancel her plan to ride it back home because she becomes dizzy. She ends up accepting a ride from Kellen after all. We then see the stranger watching them from a distance, holding the axe we previously saw. This makes us wonder why he is interested in Ava and what his intentions could be. Once they arrive at her cabin, she shares an unsettling story with him. She talks about one guy who kept coming to her fan meetings across the country. She woke up to him trying to break into her van with handcuffs. According to her, it felt like a nightmare. The police even got involved. After telling him this, Ava leaves without giving details of the aftermath. Later, while he installs a new latch on her shed, she asks him if he heard of Hannah. He informs her that everyone there, including him, knows about Hannah. However, he didn't know was that Hannah lived in Ava's cabin. Ava is curious about the girl whose life was terminated prematurely. Later, they walk on the bridge together. Kellen explains that people thought Hannah was a witch, and talks about a few more things before driving off. Soon, Ava sees a cow near her cabin, and she asks it if it's lost. As she keeps looking at it, she is reminded of the deer since the heads of both animals are somewhat similar. She eventually decides to call the police. In her home, Ava almost trips over a plank that sticks out. She knows she should get it fixed, or else, next time she might collide with the floor. Subsequently, Ava streams a new show outside, and we see Kellen is watching it. She mentions him, the part where he told her about Hannah. Miss Cabin Girl wonders why Hannah would do what she did. She also thinks that maybe her spirit could still be present. Other than Kellen, the mysterious stranger is also watching the new video beside his van. At night, someone calls out to Ava again. When she goes to the woods, she sees a zombie there. When she turns around, it's already standing behind her. Then, she wakes up. During the daytime, she does some internet research on Hannah. While she does, a book falls out of the shelf again. This time, it doesn't happen merely once. Ava checks what is going on. As she removes the books, expecting to see if a mouse is knocking them down, we observe a ghost zombie standing behind her. Upon her turning around, the ghost vanishes. On the next day, a man awakens her outside because she fell asleep in front of a campfire. He is the sheriff, who tells her he received her call regarding the cow. The reason being coyotes that nearly tore the animal. Switching to something much more pleasant, the sheriff welcomes her to the neighborhood. In her cabin, Ava's laptop plays videos from fans again, while she is busy with other things. One fan says she misses the Ava from the past. She pleads for her to return. We see that she is now struggling with stress. Her mind isn't where it used to be. At her doctor's office, she says she's having visions. The man tells her that hallucinations are not uncommon after a head injury. He advises her to sleep well. When she leaves, the stranger watches her. She then enters Mystic Fox, where Trina quickly tends to her. The stranger also decides to enter the bar. He sits a good distance away from her. Ava is on the internet, searching for information on Hannah. Then, Trina informs her she won't find anything on Hannah. Thankfully though, she says she could help her somehow. Elsewhere in the bar, Trina places a box of newspapers for Ava to have fun scavenging through. The stranger comes by to watch her look through it. He's not even trying to behave stealthily. What Ava learns is some information about Hannah's brother, Elijah. Coming back to Trina, she says she got more questions than answers. Trina thinks Hannah may have been pushed because witches were pushed in the 1600s. She also says that the Grangers were a powerful and wealthy family. Since Ava mentioned she had a dream about Hannah, Trina gifts her with an Ouija board. As she is walking away with it, she bumps into the man who keeps following her. He behaves politely to the lady, even saying it is his fault. At a different time, Ava streams another video of her talking about Hannah. It seems like her channel went from her being the van girl to something completely unrelated to that. From watching the stream, the stranger learns where she is going. Seeing Ava ride her bicycle, he follows her using his van. We see her walking inside the cemetery, searching for Hannah's grave until she finds it. Meanwhile, the stranger strikes his axe, but not at Ava like we were led to believe. He uses it to break the lock on her shed. It seems like he wasn't following her this time. We find out that Ava's van is inside the shed. Returning to Ava, she receives a ride home from Kellen. During the ride, she informs him that she keeps seeing Hannah. The stranger inspects Ava's van. At this point, we still don't know what his motive for doing this is. He is a man shrouded in mystery. He sits inside the driver's seat, and soon he hears Ava returning with Kellen. The lady notices that her new lock has been broken. Being the brave man, Kellen looks inside to see if anyone is there. Unfortunately, he does not do a thorough search. He just takes a peek without going around the vehicle or checking inside of it. Had he done that, the stranger would have gotten caught. At night, the duo sits outside on a table with lit candles. Ava brings in her camera to record them. She tells Kellen she thinks Hannah is trying to tell her something. She also thinks her brother was a suspect. Then they start doing what Ava set out to do, using the Ouija board. With closed eyes, she asks Hannah if she is there. She asks to be given a sign, causing the planchette to move. It spells out the word guilty. When she asks the spirit who is guilty, she gets no more answers. After that, Ava concludes that Hannah was murdered. Inside the cabin, Kellen tells her to take a break away from this place, but she insists this is her home now. She also thanks him for helping her a few months ago. We learn that she can't remember exactly what happened to her during the crash with the deer. Furthermore, she believes it could have happened for a reason. After all, it got her to this point where she has a cabin in addition to having met Kellen. He smiles upon hearing that. It doesn't take long for this talk to escalate into them kissing. However, it hardly lasts, because Ava suddenly spots someone behind the window, watching them. She yells, telling Kellen about what she saw several times until he finally goes out to investigate. He enters the shed again to search there, but still finds no one there. This is because the stranger is now hiding behind a tree. Coming back to Ava, Kellen reminds her that she perceives Hannah sometimes. This means she may not have seen a real person behind the window. He gets her to lie down on the couch while he stays to keep watch. In the morning, while Ava is drinking, we see someone in the ceiling who could be the ghost of Hannah. In the meantime, Kellen is working on her van. A piece of hair falls beside him and he picks it up in confusion. Ava then confronts him, demanding to know why he's fixing her van. She takes offense to him doing it because it makes her look needy, so she yells for him to leave. She goes back to her cabin, where she steps on that loose floorboard again. It bothers her to the point of her demolishing it with an axe. Doing that causes her to find a box that was hidden there. Ava opens it to look at the items stored within. Soon Trina arrives, whom Ava must have invited. She looks at some of the items, educating our main character about their significance. Following this, they lay out some tarot cards, and Trina tells Ava to ask a question. The question she asks is who hurt Hannah on the bridge. With that, Trina lays out 6 cards. She says the first one pertains to the subject of Ava's question. Flipped over, that card is the princess. It means the subject, Hannah, is a young lady. This is true, for Hannah was slightly under the age of 20. The second card pertains to the questioner, which is Ava. That card is the devil and it scares Ava. Yet Trina reassures her the cards are symbolic and not literal. After flipping over 3 more cards, the last one is the Hanged Man. It could mean as an act of atonement. With all the cards revealed and discussed, Trina says this reading reveals that Hannah was neither pushed nor that she fell willingly. She says that whatever Ava is sensing did not originate at the cabin. Ava does not like the information that was given to her. After some more talking, she starts accusing Trina of covering for the ones responsible for Hannah's demise. She even asks her how much she was paid to do it. Equipping herself with the axe, she orders Trina to leave. Alone again, Ava strikes a tarot card with the axe due to her contempt for what the cards told her. She comes back to the broken floorboard and takes out a note inside the floor that she missed earlier. It reads, "He's guilty." This message prompts her to get in her van and drive to the hospital to see Elijah. The man taking her to see Hannah's brother warns her that Elijah is already a vegetable. Approaching the handicapped man, Ava sees the staff member wasn't lying. She greets Elijah, telling him she wants to talk about his sister. Instead of talking, the man grabs her arm. He keeps repeating the word guilty. After that disappointing interaction, Ava gets back in her van to drive off. While doing that, she streams another video. She talks about what Elijah was saying, and how it was in line with what the Ouija board spelled out last night. The stranger watches her stream and decides to visit her cabin. Ava hears her name called again by the ghost of Hannah. Because of reckless driving, the sheriff pulls her over. Inside the cabin, the stranger finds her laptop, along with a notebook. Ava notices that the sheriff has the name Granger on his name tag. She asks if he's from the Granger family, which is an inquiry that he does not answer. When he leaves, she feels as if something is wrong. Meanwhile, the stranger logs into her laptop. He does something on it before he sees Ava arrive with her van. She enters her home to sit near her laptop, but then she gets a surprise when she sees the man in front of her. He reassures her that he won't hurt her, but he also mentions that he knows what she did. When he is talking, she gets disturbing visions again. She is forced to pepper spray the intruder. She also grabs her axe and starts swinging it at him. Lucky for him, he escapes. Kellen then sees Ava driving somewhere. He manages to catch up to her when she parks nearby. She informs him that a stalker broke into her cabin. She is in a frantic state, yelling about wanting to talk to the sheriff. It seems like she believes the sheriff knows something important, and he's hiding it. Yet for some reason, Kellen advises her not to talk to him. Concerned, he reveals that he found something under her van, which is the hair from the earlier scene. At that moment, Ava sees the stranger entering his van. After pointing him out to Kellen and explaining that he is a stalker, Kellen starts going after him. He follows the man in his truck. They also pass a parked sheriff, who joins the chase. Eventually, a tree lying on the road prevents the man in the van from going further. He comes out and immediately gets assaulted by Kellen. Back at her cabin, Ava streams, explaining that she thinks the town is against her. She mentions the sheriff being from the Granger clan. She is scared, comparing how she feels now to what Hannah felt. The sheriff approaches Kellen, telling him to stop beating the stranger. Kellen explains that the man is Ava's stalker. When they open the back of his van, they see an axe, along with photos of Ava. For that, the sheriff puts the stalker under arrest. Sitting in the backseat, he tells the sheriff he has been tracking the evil lady for weeks. Of course, he means Ava. He finally reveals his purpose for stalking her. According to him, the cabin girl murdered his daughter, which is quite an accusation. The sheriff is certainly going to require proof of that. Interestingly, the stranger says the proof is the van. Therefore, the sheriff arrives at Ava's cabin to sort this mess out. He knocks on her door, letting the lady know it's him. Ava doesn't answer him, despite hearing the man. As he takes his time looking around the property, Ava delivers a surprise attack on the sheriff by striking him with the axe. The stranger witnesses this brutality in the backseat, causing him to scream in fear. Then, Ava moves to the room with the hole in the ceiling, only to see the ghost of Hannah looking down at her. Hannah's ghastly appearance does not fail to frighten her. Following this, Ava nearly runs out of the cabin and sees that Kellen has arrived. She hugs the only person who is on her side, saying Hannah is trying to eliminate her. Once they are inside the cabin, Kellen tells her she is hallucinating. To defend herself, she gives him the note she found inside the floor, asking if that is a hallucination too. After a short while, Kellen finds her notebook, which happens to be riddled with the handwritten message she's guilty. There is a ripped page there that allows Kellen to connect the note Ava gave him. The word he from the note connects to a single letter S in the notebook, forming the statement she's guilty. Ava grabs her axe, telling Kellen she got him. He wants to know who she is referring to, but she does not give a direct answer. He gets his answer when he looks out the window. He witnesses the sheriff suffering on the ground. When he tries to exit through the door, Kellen gets his fingers severed by Ava. Left all alone with no one to trust, she rushes out of the cabin. Kellen comes out to free the stranger, who then gets his handcuff removed by the sheriff. He is the only unharmed man among them. Prior to going after the crazed Ava, he uses the sheriff's radio to call for help. In the meantime, Ava runs to the woods, where she gets scared by Hannah's ghost. She arrives at the bridge and yells out to Hannah, asking what the ghost wants from her. The one who answers Ava is the stranger, saying he wants the truth. She wants to jump because she thinks he's trying to take her life. However, no one is trying to do that, explains the man. All he wants from her is to know if she remembers his daughter, Jackie. At that moment, we venture into the past. The man's daughter sits in a van on the side of the road. She talks to him on a video call to hear him say that her tow truck will be there soon. Being one of her fans, Jackie is very happy due to having recently met Ava. She thinks she sees the tow truck coming, so she exits her van. Instead of the truck, it is a reckless Ava driving her van. By accident, she slams into Jackie. Her poor father is forced to witness that terrible life-changing event on video. Back in the present, Ava tells the man it was a deer she hit, but he tells her it was his daughter who Ava slaughtered. This prompts Ava's mind to give her the truthful flashback of what happened. Ava exits her van to see a severely injured Jackie crawling on the ground. There also happened to be a deer there. This horrific moment damages Ava's psyche. It seems like she could never accept that she took someone's life away, so her mind kept remembering the deer and nothing else. Out of the flashback, our main character screams in horror brought upon by her realization of what she has done. She now wants to jump off the bridge even more, yet Jackie's father saves her. The last scene shows Ava in another room. She behaves like she's recording a video for her subscribers. She tells them to call her cabin girl from now on. The problem is that we already heard her say this. At that point, we hear the doctor say she has a condition called paratraumatic dissociation. The place she occupies now is a cell in a mental hospital. The doctor does not know how long she will be trapped in this memory. We see Ava looking around her room with a lack of comprehension as to where she is. The ghost of Jackie, not Hannah, is there in the room with her. Jackie calls her name, but the deranged lady just smiles into the air where a camera would reside.